What's up, dudes? Max here, and I've really wanted to do an ongoing series of videos talking about the stuff I do on YouTube, capturing gameplay, going about audio, and things like that for quite a long time now, and I've gotten quite a few requests. And today I want to talk about perhaps the most important thing when starting up a channel or going into gameplay on YouTube or anything like that, and that's actually capturing your gameplay. Now, when it comes to finding out which capture card you want to use, there's a lot of options right now. There's a lot of folks getting into the market, and sometimes you need something that kind of does everything. And I've had quite a bit. I've gone through like HD PVRs and several different things over the past. I think the PVR was the first thing I used. But nowadays, with streaming and a lot of different video formats and 480i, 480p, 720p, 1080p, and all these different things, you kind of need something that does everything. And I've recently found one, and I've actually been really happy with it, and that's the Elgato Game Capture HD. Now, luckily, I got some help from the Elgato guys about what to use this thing for and the stuff that's been really helpful with, and dude, it's actually been very helpful with streaming older stuff. Of course, you want to use it for a lot of the high-end things. With newer games and games that actually run in 1080p, this thing does support all of that because it's naturally HDMI. But what I was really happy with is that it doesn't just do the 1080p and the 720p signal at 60 frames or any of that. It does stuff in older resolutions as well, and it handles it pretty well, and that's where I've had a huge problem in finding out appropriate capture equipment. Let's open this thing up really quick and I'll give you guys a look. Now, inside the box, you're going to find the device itself. The Elgato Capture is, well, pretty freaking small. It's about the size of less of a mini hard drive. And if you'll notice, the inputs are essentially one HDMI out, a USB that goes to your computer, as well as the HDMI in. So literally, you take your console, whatever one you want to capture, that signal goes in one end, and then it goes out the other end into your television. The data, or like the stream of information, is sent out the USB, and the software works pretty good. The only downside of the Elgato is that the signal on your stream is not immediate. It's not like a one-to-one interpretation. That's what happens when you have USB connections sometimes. And to get like a one-to-one or extremely close representation of what's going on your screen and what's being represented on the monitor, you need like an internal capture device. But there is a way around this, and it's really easy to deal with, especially if you're streaming or if you're setting up your audio for things or if you're live commentating on stuff. And it's that there's a delay, and you have to set the delay depending on your computer, but for mine it's 1350 milliseconds, so that's 1 second, 350 milliseconds, and it's really not that much. I've had previous capture cards, like my old HD PVR was like 2.5 seconds behind what we were doing, and it can be kind of a nightmare. What's nice is that I was also mentioning that it doesn't just do the HDMI stuff, it's also got an S-Video plug right here. And if you notice on the opposite end, it's got all the older AV inputs. So this is the sound, and this is for component, and it also works with composite. And this stuff works pretty freaking well. It doesn't like upscale the image to something crazy or anything, but it handles older images and older signal inputs like things below 480i and 480p. And like I said, I've had a lot of issues with that stuff in the past. In the box itself, it comes with a USB cable, an HDMI cable, a PlayStation... Oh, it's actually a PS3 cable. That makes sense. And a component adapter. And like I said, that component stuff has worked for composite things too. And one of the things that is really important when you're streaming gameplay or you want to have things look the best they possibly can is getting it from your computer to YouTube. And we'll talk about that a bit later because that does involve editing of some kind, or most of the time. But this stuff does support things that allow you to get your signal directly to Twitch and stuff like that, so that's good. But what I use is different things like XSplit, and that's worked absolutely perfectly for me in the past because it supports my ability to delay the signal stream by, well, 1350 milliseconds, and there you go. The Elgato Game Capture HD right now is pretty popular, and it's actually gone down in price because they've been making a lot of them. I think you can actually pick one up for around $150 on Amazon, and all things considered, for a card that can capture 1080p and a decent frame rate, that's not that bad. I actually have spent way more on older capture devices that did not work nearly as well. And for you guys, like I said, especially if you want to get into something like YouTube or capturing gameplay or doing commentary, you gotta get a good signal. You have to have things look good. And for a guy like myself that is obsessed with quality, like I'm obsessed with audio quality, I'm obsessed with capturing video signals of like older games and anything that's old, I like getting onto, you know, current generation media. And I like finding things that do all of that for me in one, and shockingly, this has been It's been a godsend over the past couple of weeks, especially for figuring out live streaming, as some of you guys have realized I've been doing, or trying to do a lot more of. But yeah, you can check out the Elgato Game Capture HDF. I'm going to put a link in the description below to the Amazon page that has it if you want to check it out. And you can also see a bunch of video feed and footage that I've used actually capturing with it between a lot of videos, especially ones that haven't been gone between Twitch and back. The native video signal is pretty good. I think you guys might actually like it. If you guys are enjoying this how to do YouTube type video series, stay tuned, because the next stuff that I really want to cover is this, talking about getting about like better audio, what type of audio equipment you should be getting, as well as different things of syncing up that audio to what's happening to your gameplay. And then finally getting into the editing, the really, really hard part that is all about making your big splash on YouTube or Twitch or anything like that. And if you have any recommendations of crazy good capture cards that you've run into or you've had a lot of success with, leave me a comment below. My name is Max. Thank you dudes very much for watching. I'll see you next time.